President Trump stated, "Nothing is impossible if you believe."
I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best.
Turning now to the cabinet picks, one by one, all of the president's men and women are falling into place in his cabinet. While Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's nomination was teeter-tottering towards collapse just weeks ago, he now appears on track for confirmation after his fiery Senate hearing that focused on his drinking, views of women in combat, and lack of high-profile management experience for the top U.S. military job. Now, Trump's more controversial choices of Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. have yet to come before senators for public questioning. Once they do, they face a long haul ahead in winning over skeptics. Joining me now is National Organizing Director for American Values 2024, RFK Jr. Super PAC, Larry Sharpe.
I am so happy to be here again. And yes, I like what you're saying. The reality of it is people are understanding now, and Trump mentioned this. He does have a mandate, right? And him having a mandate does matter. It means we're going to push more people forward when it comes to his cabinet. This is why Hegseth is probably going to get through. It's hard to push past his mandate. And he mentioned that, he had won all the swing states. He mentioned this in his address. He mentioned that he had won the actual popular vote. This mandate does matter, and that's why he mentioned it.
So let's talk a little bit about RFK Jr. I mean, they're placing him in a category saying that he's a more difficult to confirm pick. But I actually have a different attitude about this, Larry. In my opinion, the president gets his picks, but there's also the issue of a mandate that President Trump received when he had the popular vote. But there's also the issue of people mischaracterizing who these people are. Hey, RFK Jr. is actually really accomplished. So is Tulsi Gabbard. So is Pete Hegseth. These are not just TV stars or authors. They are very accomplished people who are great choices for these roles.
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one is he's putting them in specific roles. What he has to deal with is people are worried. Well, wait a minute. Is RFK Jr. really some kind of crazy Democrat, or is he something No, you're putting him in the role that matters, which is health. And again, if you remember, he literally said, Trump said this during his presentation. He said, we're going to make our children healthy. He said that in his inauguration address. He's serious about Kennedy. And look, who doesn't want healthy kids, right? If you don't want healthy kids, you have a mental problem, right? Obviously, you want healthy kids. We all do. So who's going to fight against that? What's going to happen here, though, is remember, these senators, many of them, they know people like Bobby Kennedy Jr. are they're absolutely going to be confirmed. What are they trying to do? They're trying to create some type of show so they can use that for the commercials to raise money. This is a way they're going to raise money. This is not about stopping RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. It's about cash.
So they're trying to raise cash for the midterms, which actually started today. The race for the midterms started this weekend because, after inauguration, every congressman will be dialing for dollars for 2026. Yep.
Yes, and they're all going to be saying things like, we got to fight Trump. They're all saying that. We're going to fight Trump. We're going to fight Trump. You're not fighting Trump. The guy won. He's going to get most of his cabinet for sure, if not all of it. He's going to get a bunch of people from his cabinet. It's going to happen. But they have to look like they're still fighting. Remember something. The Democratic Party, they got their butt kicked last year badly. So how many of their leadership got replaced? None. They just kept exactly the same way. They're happy. The leadership's doing well. One guy got replaced because he retired. Other than that, no one changed. So they're still fighting the same thing. They're still raising money. Harris is still raising money. And she's not even vice president anymore, and she's still raising money. So this is all about cash. Trump is going to get who he wants. RFK Jr. is going to be confirmed. But they're going to get a bunch of cool TV commercials while they yell at Bobby Kennedy Jr. for whatever they're going to yell at him about. You see it already with Hegseth. They yelled at Hegseth, and they're supporting their issues. That'll be in some commercial locally. They'll raise a bunch of money off it, and we'll keep moving.
But, okay, will they? So, Larry, let me push back a little bit. I want you to give us more details. Here's what I'm noticing, and I want to know what you think about this. So during this morning's inauguration in the rotunda, I saw faces that I never thought I would see at a Trump anything. It was Jeff Bezos and his fiance, right? It was Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. It was the CEO of Google. These are people who they don't just dislike Trump. They actually use their power in social media to suppress not just Trump, but regular, average, everyday Americans who you literally can't see their posts online because of the work that they did, and they were still
100%.
handily beaten. So is it that they showed up because they just go with the winner, or is this a reflection of them basically communicating or telecommunicating that they think that the Republicans are going to be in power for a little bit longer than 4 years? Because this is a huge shift for them.
There are two parts to this, and I'm glad you brought this up. Again, Trump in his speech brought up the idea of free speech, no more censorship. So he brought this up. People often think that these billionaires are evil people. They usually aren't. They're usually just apathetic. Most of them just don't care. They just want to make their money, right? So what did they do? They weren't censoring us because they wanted to censor us. Bezos wasn't sitting there going, I can't wait to censor people. He wasn't doing that. He was doing it because the current administration, the Biden administration, was pressuring him. And if you remember, of course, the guy Mark Zuckerberg went on Rogan and said it openly. He said they were pressuring us, they were calling us, they were threatening us. So of course we were afraid. But Elon Musk pushed back against that and said, I don't care. I'm pushing back. They can't stop me. And the rest of them saw that and went, oh, so we don't have to be under the government's thumb. We don't have to censor. They're not going to crush our companies and put us in jail. Okay, great. The reality of it is those guys just want to make their cash. That's what they're all about. I get it. But watching everybody push back, watching Elon Musk push back, watching Tulsi Gabbard leave Democratic Party, watching RFK Jr. leave Democratic Party and go against the establishment, that's what happened. If you hear Trump's speech today, it was heavily anti-establishment. And that's the key. So Bezos is like, okay, great. This guy's I don't have to, do the free speech stuff. I can just let people do what they want. Awesome. He just wants to make money. This is a change. But the next thing we want to bring up here is Trump said it again. This is a shift, not just in America, but in the entire world. You are seeing a shift against the establishment that has been failing us for decades. The whole world is seeing it. Look at Argentina, look at Germany, look at the UK, look all over the place. It's happening everywhere. And Trump acknowledged that. So these guys are just getting on board. That's what they're doing. Stacey, they're getting on board, and we should feel safer when it comes to our free speech.
Okay, so I love that. And I think the part that we have to kind of sit with is it is a worldwide shift. The same kind of shift we saw when Biden came into office. We saw a shift towards the left, a shift towards wokeness and poor foreign policy, really silly energy decisions, lots of things that didn't really make sense for, the bottom line of Americans. Because I'm old enough to remember when Democrats, Republicans, it didn't matter what party you were from, making money, having a good GDP, having good national defense, that was just an ideal, something everyone shot for. And then we had this cleaving away. So I'm hoping that at the end of this second presidential term for President Trump, we're going to see a return to that where Democrats and Republicans actually share some ideals, and maybe they disagree on how to get things done. And that could be, that could be pretty, rough and tumble, the disagreement, but the actual statement, it's great to be an American. We have borders, we have an immigration system, just these basics, right? The kind of things you would never expect to see a married couple have a disagreement on whether or not they agree on their house or whether they agree on how to raise kids. There's certain things that they share because they are a unit and we are a country, and we need to return to that. 60 seconds here. Close us out. Anything else you'd like us to know on this momentous day?
Well, he said it's return to common sense, and I think that's what people wanted to hear, right? We all want to have common goals, and that's the critical aspect. He mentioned a golden age, which I think we wanted to hear, right? This was much more hopeful than his last speech of American Carnage. This one was much more about the golden age and making big change across the entire world. And I think we should be happy that this is probably going to be much better. And he's bringing in that unity ticket that he promised. It's still here. And that's the part I love more than anything.
I love it. I love it. So this is the beginning of many of our conversations about what kind of a direction we hope to see the president take. And we'll be recapping RFK once he is confirmed. I can't wait for his fiery yet peaceful confirmation hearings. Larry Sharpe, great to see you, sir.
Thank you. Good seeing you.